Today we're going to be starting a new project, and it's one that's going to completely change our front entryway. We are updating the front door. Now this could be something that's really simple if we just added some paint, but we're going to take it to the next level and trade out that old dingy trim for something contemporary and a lot more beautiful. So the very first thing we did was sand down the front door. And it was just a light sanding, mainly just to get that sheen off the front door paint. And the reason that we do this is, one, it's gonna adhere more, two, it's not gonna chip as easily, and three, overall, it's just going to make for a longer lasting paint job. Now that the sanding is done, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this molding, and then we can start putting the new molding on. I started by scoring around the trim with a knife to separate the paint from the molding. We do this because once I start prying up the molding, it's gonna take a lot of paint with it. By scoring the seam ahead of time, it will protect the wall paint. Next, I took a small crowbar and hammer and pulled up the old traditional molding. Call me crazy, but it looks better already. With my measurements in hand, I got started cutting my trim pieces. For the doors, we're going with a classic craftsman-style trim where flat cuts will allow the boards to essentially sit on top of each other. This is a much easier process than the 45-degree angle cuts for the window trim. For this door trim, we used 3.5-inch MDF for the sides and large top piece. Like with any trim, when you're working with an existing door or window, you want to make sure that the new molding is secure. Each piece of trim should be nailed into both the door frame and the drywall as you go. I was able to move forward with the first top piece. Once the two side pieces were cut and installed, we cut the top piece to hang 1/2 inch over the side molding on each side. Just to make my life easier, I made a mark 1/2 inch in on each side so I knew exactly where the trim should sit. The very top piece is a little trickier because we couldn't find any trim the size that we wanted. We ended up going with a 3/4 inch PVC trim, which is typically used for exterior design. It fit perfectly with the slight overhang we were shooting for. The top piece had the same 1/2 inch increase on each side, which gives this beautiful clean look. Finally, I filled the holes and caulked the new trim, and our new craftsman style molding was ready for paint. We're on to day 3. The molding is up, the wood filler is in, the caulk is done, everything is sanded, and we are ready to paint. The very first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and prime these doors. And the reason that we prime them is because these doors have not been touched in easily 10 years. So we're gonna give them a nice clean slate to start from, and that way the new paint is going to stick to the doors, it's gonna last longer, and it's gonna be more vibrant. Now, in between the primer coat and the painting coat, I'm gonna go ahead and sand down the doors, just sand the primer a little bit to give it a little bit of grit. But we have to wait till that primer is on and dry, then we'll sand it, and then we'll get some color on these bad boys. Like I planned, I got to work on the primer. For these doors, I just used a standard wall primer. After sanding, I started painting. We chose Black Satin by Behr for the door color, which I feel is a really great soft black that doesn't come off too stark and intense. I used a brush first in all of the grooves and along the edges, and then went back over the flat surfaces and the grooves with a high density foam roller. The foam roller does a great job smoothing everything out and giving a nice clean finish. Because the black is so dark and I'm unnecessarily particular, I did 3 coats of paint on the doors and then went back with a small brush for touch-ups. We love the new look. It's chic, modern, and way less expensive than paying for new doors. I hope this encourages you to update your own doors, and I look forward to seeing them soon. Stay tuned for more on this channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.